Friday, July 14th saw the Sims 4 Horse Ranch developer livestream, a laundry list, and a bit more. Hello, my name is Jennifer, and welcome to my news video where I'm going to cover all of that and give my thoughts on it. I will link to my blog post in the description, and it has links to everything shared in the video. I have a sped up version of the livestream running in the background so you can see that while I talk. Just to note that they said that the livestream itself was pre-recorded due to scheduling conflicts, so things in the game may be a bit different since the game was still being finalized. I was initially a little concerned about that, but they did do it in one playthrough, so apart from a short bit at the end, so they didn't appear to hide issues with edits, so there's that. So they started in Create a Sim with horses, and first off, there are more than 30 breeds in the game. Horses can have up to 3 traits from a choice of 11 traits. They are aggressive, brave, defiant, energetic, fearful, free spirit, friendly, independent, intelligent, mellow, and needy. And some of those traits can conflict with other of those traits. Now, the traits the horses have can impact how the horses interact with Sims, and Sims can develop fear of horses more so based on the traits that the horses have. So you can start either as a foal or a full-grown horse in Create a Sim. If a horse is born in the game, they can have special traits that you can only get if they're born in the game. However, both foals born in the game and those created in Create a Sim using the genetics option will inherit physical attributes from parents. Similar to cats and dogs, there is a full color wheel for putting brushes, stamps, and stencils on horses. Horses have some unique stamps for blazes or snips and some unique stencils, including some star ones. They did show the bow tie stamp, but that is something that's already in the cats and dogs, but there were quite a few more. I went and looked and compared, and there's definitely more with horses than is in the pack already with cats and dogs. They then went on to talk about some horse accessories. So there are 2 blankets, 1 hat, 1 flower crown, and a bow and flower for the tail, and some leg wraps. I didn't see the unicorn horn there, but there was a tweet that the Sims shared after the live stream which showed Horse CAS, and it was shown there. It obviously was in that video that they did earlier this week. And of course, it had been showing in the CAS items on the EA app, which currently isn't there, but I'm sure will come back. So horses have 2 outfits, an everyday outfit and a riding outfit. The latter has a variety of tack, horse equipment, including a saddle and a bridle and a blanket or saddle pad plus reins. It's mostly Western gear, but there is some English gear. Horses will automatically change into the riding outfit when they are being ridden. So if you want to see the full Create a Sim items and build by, I do have a video which will be linked down below because, as I said, that's not on the EA app anymore, at least at this point in time. It will be back. So then they showed the Sims Create a Sim items. So I don't think everything was shown with this, but chaps aren't an accessory. They're just on some of the bottoms. A lot of the outfits have both a clean look and a dirty look, or a lot of the items there. Tops, bottoms, one pieces, and boots was what I noticed. So they showed for a female child, that there were 2 tops and 2 bottoms, and they had a female toddler where there was 1 top and 1 bottom. It looked like it was genderless, so probably that's for either. And then there again was a very cute horsey onesie, which was on a female infant, but I'm sure it was for both. So they then showed there were 3 mustaches, which were kind of overgrown looking. And then one of the accessories is wild rags, which are essentially oversized bandanas. I had actually just called them bandanas when I'd seen them before. And there are 2 different styles of those, and they are found under necklaces. And they said that you can put them on with any top. However, there may be clipping with some of the tops, but they left it to your discretion whether or not you want to use it or not. So essentially, they know that they don't work with everything. So probably that's, not something they're going to be looking into because they just decided to leave it for players to play with. There were 6 new male hairstyles. There are 3 new base game Native American hairstyles. They mentioned the collab with the Native American consultant Stacy Parshall Jensen, which was also mentioned on the blog post, and that she was collaborated with to help come up with those hairstyles and some other Native American things in the pack, and obviously in the base game, coming to the base game in the update. So there are 2 new sim traits. One is Rancher, which is under Lifestyle, and these Sims excel at ranch life and take pride in their work. They enjoy ranch chores and caring for their livestock. I'm not sure how much I'll be using that one, but I'll check it out when the pack comes out. And the other one is Horse Lover under Social, and these Sims share a strong bond with horses. They have an easier time socializing with and caring for horses than other Sims. Now, I kind of like these traits, but I also would like it if we just had an animal lover. I'm hoping the animal enthusiast from Cottage Living will like help cover, but I find it doesn't work as well with cats and dogs, but they do get a little special moodlet from it because I don't like having individual traits for all the different animals personally. But anyways, moving on. There are also 2 new sim aspirations. One is Champion Rider, which is under Fitness, and the other is a Nectar aspiration, which is under Food. They did not show the details of either aspiration. So then there is like the world of Chestnut Ridge, which I'm sort of going from a tweet that was afterwards, but putting it in now. So there was a tweet there from Matthew Fahey, who is a principal designer at EA for The Sims. I have a tweet from him later too about something else. And it shows the world, which we did see in the live stream, but this adds the lot sizes. So you can see that here. And there is one that's a 64 by 64, which is empty. Yay for that. And then there's another 50 by 50, which has a build on it. Not a very big build from what I'm seeing. But no one's living there. So another yay for that. So the one neighborhood has 3 lots, and then the other 2 have 5 each. So for a total of 13 lots. The one thing I found interesting when I looked back at the blog post, the neighborhood in the top corner is called Galloping Gulch, and it's called the National Park neighborhood. So I thought there would be a national park in that neighborhood, but all 3 of those lots are residential type lots. One is a rental, but the other 2 are residential that you can live there. So there's no national park there. But I'm thinking it's just that the neighborhood is a place that's where you go to explore and go horseback riding, which I'll talk a little bit later. So they started in the Riders Glen Ranches neighborhood, which has 5 lots, and that's where the 64 by 64 residential lot is. And there's 2 residential lots with pre-made Sims, and then there are 2 other residential lots that have homes built on them, but no one living in them. One is 30 by 30 and the other is 30 by 20. One of those lots with the pre-mades is the 40 by 30 lots. So anyways, I kind of don't like it when they put pre-mades on the big lots because I personally want to use them myself. I always feel bad evicting them. But anyways, moving along. They said you need to befriend the horses, which we already knew from the Behind the Sims live stream and the gameplay trailer, so that was not new. So the skill is horse riding skill, and in the beginning you can walk and trot, and eventually you can sit a canter. So essentially as your riding skill goes up, you're going to be able to do more, and also you're less likely to fall off the horse. When your riding skill is like low, you just fall off the horse, which they showed there. So each neighborhood has a community board, and you can also place them on any lot from build mode, and most of the options from what I could see were on your Sims phone, but there were some specific to, you know, information about the world and whatnot and the Sims there that was on the community board, which I don't think was on the phone, but anything that you needed to do was on the phone from what I could see. So Prairie Grass was mentioned in the blog post. It grows in the neighborhood. Horses will graze on it. You can harvest it by hand and search on it. It's like a loot box is what they said. And you can hand feed horses with the prairie grass, or you can stock your feeder with it. And the prairie grass itself is a new lot challenge. So you can essentially have it anywhere by adding it as a lot challenge. So i.e. your sim horses can live anywhere. And the grass will spread, which is why it's a challenge. But also I'm glad it's a challenge because those are unlimited, whereas lot traits are limited. But it is a challenge because you have to look after it because it'll spread around. That's what they said. So you can also pay to load your horse feeder versus using what you've collected. So because if you don't have enough to load it, then you can just pay to put the feed in there. So they showed some horse stalls with 2 beds. I think the horse stalls were built, but the beds were where your horses sleep. And there were 2 different types plus different color variations. And you can assign beds to horses so that they know where they're supposed to be sleeping, the same as we assign beds to Sims. Now, horses both eat and drink water. So some basics needed for looking after them are those horse beds, a feeder, and a waterer. And if you don't want to spend a lot of time looking after your horses, you can hire a ranch hand, and you can do that from the phone in addition to doing it on the community board. And they are 100 simoleons an hour, and they work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., or that's the scheduled time. However, in the live stream, when the sim gurus returned to their Sims ranch around midnight, the ranch hand was still there. But I've noticed that sometimes with my gardener, that they'll be there if my Sims have traveled, and I come back and they'll continue their job later on, even though, you know, they usually will leave by a certain time, which is much earlier than, say, in this case, like midnight. So ranch hands can help with livestock care. I'm not sure if that includes the cottage living animals. I really hope it does. And they can take care of the garden and fix things that are busted. So they seem like they're pretty handy. And I'm looking forward to that being in the game. So there is a box that you can put the manure in so you can use it later as fertilizer. And there are different qualities of poop. The better you look after your horse, the better quality the poop is, i.e. the better the fertilizer is, so the better it'll do for your gardening. And you can actually see the horse's needs. It seems to be like when you hover over the horse, you can see their needs, and they show their hunger, energy, fun, social, and hygiene, which I'm quite happy about. I wish we had that for cats and dogs, I'd have to say. So they did show the early purchase items and a few things in the pack at this point, you know, the guitar, the rocking chair, and the wagon wheel decoration. But then they went on and showed the new barbecue and some new recipes that they mentioned. So one of the recipes is actually coming to base game, Three Sisters Chili. It's a Native American dish, plus 2 more Native American dishes that are coming with the pack, bison stew and wild nut soup. But there's also a classic cowboy dish called Bandicam, and that's going to be brought as the welcome wagon food versus the usual fruitcake. So all of those are things you make on a barbecue, and hopefully they've got it so that it's on all the barbecues. Anyways, there are also 2 new social events, a ranch gathering, which you can grill, dance, drink, and socialize with neighbors. And there's also a ranch animal day, which is the focus is more on the 4-legged friends and showing them off to your friends. And there's a new bedroll, i.e. the sleeping bag from Growing Together. So they have that with this pack too. So, and then they left to hit the trail to see the Chestnut Ridge's neighborhoods, which is the name of the world, Chestnut Ridge. And the first one they went to was that Galloping Gulch neighborhood. And that's the one that only has 3 lots. And I noticed that when they landed, they were on their horses. They traveled with their horses, of course. But they did seem to get onto them when they left. So I don't know if you need to be on them when you leave, riding them, and then you'll be riding them when you get where you're going. Or if you just by default, if you travel with your horses, you're on your horse. They didn't say, just something I noticed. So this is a Montana-style neighborhood with canyons. It's a perfect spot if you want to be away from civilization. And it is a big map for horses to travel around, which is probably where they get the national park idea or concept for it, even though there's not one in that neighborhood. And it has waterfalls and stone bridges. If you have seasons, the weather will be more arid. However, if there is a storm, horses can get spooked. But if you have like the brave trait, I think they probably won't be as likely to get spooked. So there's something to be said for that, especially if you live in a world that is subject to a lot of storms in like Sims. You're in a different world that has lots of storms, which I think is pretty much all of them. That's probably a good trait to use. So the neighborhood had lots of D&D influence, so they said. So this is where the Dread Horse Caverns are, where you explore, and there are like good written stories that they did, and there's surprises and rewards. So to me, that seemed a little similar to the cave in Island Living, and there is a cave in Snowy Escape, or caves when you go up on the mountain excursion. They're not regularly available on Snowy Escape, but there are, where you go in and it's a rabbit hole and they have a story and you get to, something out of it they can be fun, especially I find they're very creative. So the world has lots of winding bends, and there's big vistas to enjoy, and there's something to touch around every corner to make it more interesting to explore. I'm paraphrasing their words there. So you can do jumping, barrel racing, and it's just all in all supposed to be a fun location for riding. There's lots of rest spots, and there's some great fishing spots. Now, I wonder when they say great fishing spots if that means that you can catch fun things fishing. Like special treasury type things fishing. Like in Sulani, you can catch like the treasures, and there's a few spots in the other worlds that you can catch voodoo dolls as an example of as a type of treasure. But there's different things you can catch. Like in the cats and dogs world, Brindleton Bay, you can catch like the gold poop fishing and things like that. Just as an example of treasures that you can catch. So I know I'm going up, but I'm wondering if that's what they mean. Hopefully it is, but maybe, you never know. There are some of the pea woohoo bushes in that world, plus the occasional outhouse, and those aforementioned waterfalls. The Sims can swim in the water under them, but they didn't mention whether horses can swim. So the fact that they said, oh, the Sims can swim there, and they were with horses, and they didn't mention the horses, makes me think that the horses can't swim. So then they moved on to the new Appaloosa neighborhood, and they showed the gameplay there. So that neighborhood has a small western town feel to it, and it has 5 lots, of course, because we have one with 3 and 2 with 5. So the lots there were the Rusty Horseshoe, which they said was a great stop, and it looked like it was a nightclub from what I could see from the logo. There was an Oak Barrel Nectar Bar. There was a small empty starter home that was a 20 by 20 lot. There was a home for some pre-made Sims. And then there was the Duke's Hall, which is a 40 by 30 lot, which is either a park or a national park because the little logo for either of those types of lots is the same. And that was across from the Equestrian Center. So the Equestrian Center is in the neighborhood space, and it closes at 7 p.m. and they went after it closed. So we didn't actually get to see it in action, which was kind of unfortunate. But they did say that there are 4 competitions you can compete in there: jumping, barrel racing, endurance racing, and Western pleasure riding, which is the art of how chill your horse can be while you are riding. You can earn simoleons, they said big bucks, and plaques from competition. And as you win competitions, you can advance to more advanced competitions. So I'm kind of wondering if the big bucks is more from the more advanced competitions versus the basic entry level ones, but that's just me. They gave a preliminary look at the painted ceilings, which are coming in the free base game update, and then they showed that a little bit more again later. And you can ride your horses into the dance hall, the Rusty Horseshoe, that's where they were. And they showed the cowpoke dance, which seems to be the only dance with this pack. And in that neighborhood, there is a clothing store, which you don't go in. It's just like a rabbit hole type thing where your Sims can choose and change outfits. I'm thinking that is like the one where you get the wedding dresses and outfits, but they didn't show it again. Everything was closed. And then there's a general store, which doesn't close as early. It closes at 10, but they were very late when they got there. So, and you can buy stuff there, but the stuff I think you can get there for the most part, you can still just get over the phone or possibly even the computer. So you don't need it. It's just more for like you want to go into town and you're going to run your errands and do that type of thing, from what I could gather. So one thing with that equestrian center, I don't know whether it's like big and you could maybe actually go inside it, like say the Cantina in the Batu, in the Journey to Batu pack, or if it's like completely closed. But there was outside area there where it looked like you probably would be doing the barrel racing and whatnot. But again, we didn't see it. So then they went back home and they bought some mini goats and mini sheep who promptly fell asleep because it was nighttime. And like I said, the ranch hand was there and out there trying to come out to look after the mini goats and the mini sheep. So there is no limit on how many you can buy. You can buy them on the phone. And they said maybe the computer. It didn't seem like they were sure about whether you can get them on the computer, but you can also buy them on the community board. And I think you could buy them at that general store that was closed. And they're different prices. So they generally cost from 150, 200, and 400 simoleons. It depended on like what color of the animal you got. But they did make the comment like there was the black sheep, So expensive, wonder why, and it was 2,000 simoleons. So I kind of wonder what's special about the black sheep. I'm thinking there must be something. So sheep will provide simoleons when you shave them, and goats will give milk, they said, but I don't know if that is actual milk or if it's simoleons. Because they said if you have cottage living, that the milk and the wool that you would get from the sheep will feed into that system. So the mini goats and sheep will eat weeds and bugs in the garden, and they can roam all over your ranch, and they are, I have to say, very, very cute. And Sims can count sheep when they're trying to go to sleep, which I had seen in the trailer, and I had wondered if that was trailer magic. So no, it wasn't. So that's kind of cute. So then they went on to talk and show a little bit about the nectar making. So with the horseback riding, Sim Guru George's Sim wasn't very good at horseback riding, but he was the one who had the nectar skill, and versus the other way around. And the Sim with the higher skill was level 5, so I'm kind of wondering if that's the max level, similar to how juice fizzing is. That's level 5 skill. They didn't actually say how many skill levels were riding or like the horse skills. I'm sort of speculating there. And it taps into everything you can grow, including trash nectar. If you have low skill, you're more likely to fall, but even the Sim who had the level 5 skill did fall while they were making the juice. And it's an active thing where they're sitting there the whole time they're making the juice. I'm saying juice, nectar. Nectar, of course. Unlike juice fizzing, where you just get it started and you walk away, do other things, and come back. But it didn't seem to take too long. So I wasn't really paying attention whether they sped it up or not. Anyway, so occult Sims each have a special nectar they can make, i.e. I'm guessing with the plants from those packs. And the nectar rack looked like it was stackable, but also when you put the bottles in the rack, they can stack up too. And aging nectar increases its value, which was mentioned previously. So there's that. Once you crack a bottle, it only lasts a few days. I expect it lasts indefinitely if it's unopened. And you get multiple servings from a bottle. And you can drink nectar from a glass, or you can drink it directly from the bottle. And they made a comment that if a foodie Sim sees someone drinking directly from the bottle, they would get some type of sentiment, but they didn't say what it was. But I'm guessing it's probably not a very pleasant sentiment, would be my guess. So then they did show a little bit of build by. They mainly focused on, like, they showed there's these 2 different ranch signs, and they can be very customized by putting different things on it. So they had some animal iron work signs. Horses, sheep, goats, and cow plants were like, the first 3 were obviously themed with the horse ranch pack. Cow plants are a base game thing, but then they also had some that match cottage living. So there was a cow, llama, and chicken. So you can sort of personalize the sign to reflect your ranch. And I think they said some signs can be unlocked, but I don't remember all the details on that. The other thing they mentioned when they were showing some things in build mode, because they did show like a kitchen set that was coming with the pack, is that free cam mode is coming to build mode in the base game update that's, this week. So yay for that. So essentially when you hit the tab, you can do that in live mode. Now you're going to be able to do that, I'm guessing it's the same way, in build mode, which it's really good. And ceilings, then they showed how the ceilings worked. So pretty much any floor tile can be used for the ceiling. They did show the icon you use to access the ceiling, and it's sort of around where the tile floors are, and you click on it, and you're going to sort of be on the floor above the ceiling kind of thing to see it, but that's why you have to select, obviously, the right one. There is a new flooring ceiling from the pack. It might just be a ceiling because it was a night sky, but it wasn't the top swatch. The top swatch looked more like clouds, and lower down was the night sky. Quite liked it, and they commented that would be really good for kids' rooms, which I can see, and I'm sure there's lots of other places that would be good. And also coming in the free base game update was more color variants in some of the existing base game floor tiles. And there's supposed to be a new door for base game with ranchy patterns, but they didn't actually show it. Now, they did mention that horses can go through doors, but only some doors are available when a Sim is riding a horse, i.e. they're labeled mounted horse mountable, and they were only available on medium and tall walls, but that also means to me that horses are not going to be riding in and out. Sorry, Sims are not going to ride horses in and out of the house unless you have those special doors. So unlike bicycles, as an example. And then this is where they did cut to the next morning, where they then showed a child getting on a horse and riding the horse in and out of the building that had the special doors that let you go through them. And the horse gets down for the child to get onto it, which we had seen previously, but it was nice to see again. So the Sims tweeted a follow-up, and they showed it in different social media where they showed the Create a Sim, and that's where we did see the unicorn again, which we'd seen it before. And then someone asked in response to this, can we have horses in all worlds, which I'd already figured we could just because of that lot challenge and the fact that horses are part of the household. But they did reply, yep, so yes, you can have horses in all worlds. So moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the base game update that's expected on Tuesday, July 18th. The usual time is 10 a.m. Pacific, and I'll have a link to when that is in your time zone in my blog post. I have a screenshot of the laundry list so you can see it for yourself, and it's very, very long. What I found that when it's very long, we tend to get a lot of fixes extra than what's on the list, versus when it's a shorter one, then they don't really tend to have as many extra. So I'm expecting quite a few bug fixes, fingers crossed, on Tuesday. However, what's not on the list was the gardening issues is not there, nor are the console issues, though I'm not sure the console issues would be on there. I think when they fix that, it'll just be fixed with no advance announcement. But that's just my thoughts. So there are a few things that are on that list that are supposed to be fixed that I'm going to highlight. Those are, the incorrect items have been removed pop-up that I think is afflicting many, many people. That's supposed to be fixed. Sims washing hands in another bathroom. Yay for that. Get to work. The invention construction visuals. Sims not getting pregnant from abduction. And doctors not being able to calibrate the x-ray machine. Cottage living. Animals are aging and dying even with aging off. And cows, llamas not coming out of their sheds. And high school years, there's issues with selling trendy items and wants being too repetitive. That's not all of them on there, but that's just some of the ones that are supposed to be fixed. Not on there, but something I had seen Matthew Fahey tweet about back in May that would be fixed was the photos turning black when put in storage boxes, among other things. So, and that includes the memory box from growing together. So hopefully that will actually be included in the bug fixes on Tuesday, in addition to the things on the laundry list and hopefully more. So just to recap those new things that are coming in the base game update, those paintable ceilings, the free cam and build mode, more swatches for some floor tiles, the three new Native American hairstyles, which we didn't see, that one Native American food, the Three Sisters chili, the new door for base game with the ranchy patterns. Again, didn't see it. And hinted at, though not announced, was that there is a sleepwear set that's currently exclusive to Xbox EA players. And it looks like it may be coming to base game. I initially missed that in the live stream. I saw the Sims VIP had an article about it. And so when I went back and was rewatching the live stream, I did notice those clothing items, the top and the bottom, during the CAS portion of the live stream. So, but they did say again that they were pre-recording this, so hopefully that is true and that it's coming and that's not something that gets changed when they're going through it. So in conclusion, what are my thoughts on this? I know a lot of people thought that this should have been a game pack. And I can see where people are coming from with that idea, especially after the live stream, which didn't seem to show very much, especially compared to the Growing Together live stream. However, I expect that's because the horses took a lot of work, and you won't see that in the live stream. Horses seem more detailed than cats and dogs. You can see their needs when you hover over them, and they have those skills that they can learn, and they can use those skills to win competitions. And while there is training for dogs, it's far less detailed. So I don't think it's comparable. So horses in general are more detailed overall than cats and dogs, and that's my opinion, and so I think they probably took a lot of work because of that. Plus you can ride on them, of course. Anyways, the other thing is that the world that you need for horses is not something you're going to get in a game pack, so I can see why an expansion pack was needed for that in itself. So obviously the horses on their own weren't going to be enough for an expansion, but they probably took up a lot of their budget, so they really couldn't put a lot of other things into the pack. So I think they tried, which is why they added the Nectar Making, which I know a lot of people have wanted. And I'm also personally loving the ranch hand and the fact that they do more than just look after the animals. Though again, I do hope they will look after the cottage living animals too. Plus, we can't forget the mini goats and sheep. I'm much more interested in them now that I've seen them in the live stream. They are adorable, and I love that they too help with the garden by eating the weeds and the bugs. We didn't get any information on the pre-made Sims, but I think they're leaving that for us to explore in the game, just like those caverns and the unicorns. Read the base game update. I'm always happy for bug fixes, and I'm really excited for the free camera in build mode, and there will be times when I'll be happy for the ability to paint ceilings, but I think that'll probably appeal to builders a lot. So let me know what you thought about the live stream, a laundry list, and the other information in a comment down below. But that's going to be it for this video. Likes and comments are always appreciated, and they really help with the algorithms. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!